Hi guys, actually I have skipped the tutorial and I'm making this tutorial assuming that you guys know uh, uh, classful addressing scheme, a class list that is CIDR, class list enrollment routine, and subnetting and subnet mask to calculate subnet mask. Uh, Now let's configure this ospf routers. Let's configure this. Let's start from ospf 120, area 120. Uh, we start from this terminal of PC. Now actually the connection it is point-to-point connection. That's why we only need two IP addresses. We starting from here, we need to allocate IP addresses to this interface and to this interface. That means we need two IP addresses. In CIDR, the CIDR allow us to apply any subnetting scheme. We can use /31, /30, /29, /18, /16 according to our needs. It means our subnetting scheme depends upon the number of IP addresses that we need. So in this case, we need to allocate IP addresses to these two interfaces. It means we need two IP addresses. That's why we are using /30 addressing scheme. Let me open Notepad first so that I can explain you. Uh, the IP address range that we are given for this area 120 is 11.22.33.0 and the CIDR prefix is 24. 11.22.33.0 where the CIDR prefix is /24. /24. Now we are using /30 addressing scheme. Why? Why not /31? Why not /32? The question may arise. Let me explain you why not /31, then you will understand everything. Why not /31? Then first we need to calculate how many IP addresses do we get from /31. The formula, the steps to calculate number of IP addresses given by certain subnetting scheme is: step 1 is 32 minus 31. Why 32? Because IP addresses are represented by 32 bits. 32 minus 31 is 1. Then we do 2 power 1, which is 2. It means it gives two IP addresses. It gives two IP addresses. That is 11.22.33.0 and 11.22.33.1. These two. /31 gives two IP addresses. And with this given IP address range, the available IP addresses will be 11.22.33.0 and 11.22.33.1. But the first and last addresses are not usable. It means first one is network address, while the second one is broadcast address. These IP addresses are used for other purposes. That's why it's not usable. That's why we can't allocate this and these two IP addresses to these interfaces. That's why we are using /30 subnetting scheme. /30 number of IP addresses, that IP addresses given by /30 is /30 are 32 minus 30 equals 2, and 2 power 2 equals 4. Yes, the number of IP addresses that's given by slash 30 is 4. It means let me copy from here. The 4 IP addresses are 0, 1, 2, and 3. As I told you earlier, this one is network address, while the last one is broadcast address, and only these two are usable. These two are usable. Now we can allocate this 11.22.33.1 to one of the interfaces, and this 11.22.33.2 to the other interface. Now let's start from here. First, we need to hover here. We need to hover over the link. It shows fast Ethernet 0. That's why we need to go there. Config fast Ethernet 0. The IP address will be is 11.22.33.1, and here, and let me tell you how to calculate subnet mask as well. In this case we are using only 2 bits to represent host. But if we use 8 bits to represent host, then we will get 256 IP addresses. But at the moment we are using only 2 bits. It means 2 power 4 is 4 equals 252. This is the In this way we can calculate the subnet mask. So here the subnet mask corresponding subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Okay, and yes, default gateway. I think you guys know what default gateway is. We can give default gateway. We can put the IP addresses given allocated to this IP address allocated to this interface as default gateway for this computer. Why? Do some research. 11.22.30.2. That's it. And we are going to this router, and we are going to the fast Ethernet port, and then we need to turn on, and the IP address is 11.22.2. The corresponding subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Well, it's done. Now we are done with these two interfaces. Now we have to move towards these two interfaces. You can go either way, but I prefer to go this way. And again, for these two interfaces we need two IP addresses. Again, we are applying slash 30 subnetting scheme. It gives, as we know that, it gives 4 IP addresses. Then what are the 4 IP addresses? We already used 0 to 3 IP addresses. So in this case, the IP address starts from 4, because we already used 0, 1, 2, and 3. So it starts from 4. What are the 4 IP addresses then? 11.22.33.4, 5, 6, and the last one is 7. These are the 3 IP addresses, 4 available IP addresses, and this one is network address, and the last one is broadcast address. We are allocating this IP address to this interface and the other IP address to this interface. Well, let's first hover here we need to set clock as well, because here is the signal of clock. We are going to serial port 0 here, and we need to turn on this. Let's set clock as 4800 as you wish, and the IP address is 5, and corresponding subnet mask is yeah. It's done. Let's go to this router and this interface, and let's turn on. We don't need to set clock because there is no signal of clock, and the IP address is 5.6.6, and the corresponding subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Well, we got green signal here. Once we allocate IP address, we get green signal just like this. And let's move towards this. And yeah, we need to set clock in this router, and we are going to schedule port 1. And what are the, again we are applying same IP addressing scheme, that is /30. And what are the available IP addresses then? We already used 0 to 7. Then now the IP address starts from 8, 9. I hope you guys are getting it. Yeah, and these two, first and last IP addresses, are not usable. That's why we are assigning this IP address to this interface and the other to this interface. We are going to 001. This in, yeah, we need to turn on, paste it, it's done. And let's go to this router and to this interface. We need to turn on and set clock as well. You can, I'm setting as 4800. The IP address is 10, and corresponding subnet mask is 252.252. Sorry, 255.255.255.252. Well, it's done. Then again for this interface, again we need two IP addresses. That's why we use /30 IP addressing scheme, and 0 serial port 0. We are going to serial port 0. What will be the available IP addresses then? Again we are using /30. /30, the available the IP addresses will start from 12. Well, yes, then we are allocating this IP address to this interface, and the other IP address to this interface. Let's go then. Let's go to here, to this router. Go here. We need to set clock here, and the IP address is 13. Corresponding subnet mask, it comes automatically. It's done. And here, as for same applies here, but the IP address will be 14 here, and the corresponding subnet mask is 255.255.252. Well, it's done. And again we have two interfaces, the IP address to be allocated, and again we are using /30 subnetting scheme. The available IP addresses will start from 16. We are allocating this IP address to this 001. Going here, we don't need to set clock is done 001, and we need to go 001 to this. We need to set clock here as well. We need to set clock. The IP address is 18 and corresponding subnet mask is, yeah, this way we allocate IP addresses. Once we allocate proper IP addresses to the interfaces, then we get green signal just like this. And in similar way, we allocate IP address to this area as well. In this, there's no any difference. Then until then, let me pause for few. Well, I have applied the same idea to allocate IP address to this area as well. This is area 0, which is also known as backbone area. But here the difference is the address range in ospf 120 starts from 11, but in this case it starts from 22. This one is a little bit different. Because this one is, as I told you in previous tutorial, this is multi-access type of network, because all these three routers are accessing same transit switch, multi-layer switch. So we don't need to allocate IP addresses to these interfaces, to these three interfaces, but we need to allocate IP addresses to these interfaces. So so it's not point-to-point. It's not point-to-point connection. The difference between these three areas and this area is, these three areas are point-to-point connection, and this is multi-axis connection. So the IP address needed for this area are 3. The number of IP addresses that we need are 3. One for this, and one for this. That's why we don't apply /30 IP addresses scheme here. Why? Because /30 gives only 4 IP addresses, among which only 2 are usable. So we use /29 IP addresses for multi-access ospf network. We apply /29. How many IP addresses do we get from /29? Let's calculate. 32 minus 29 equals 3, and 2 to the power 3 is 8. Yes, we will get 8 IP addresses. And what are the 8 IP addresses then? The IP address range in this area, for this area, is 33.44.55.0, and prefix aggregation is /24. So we can write that the available IP addresses, available 8 IP addresses are 33.44.55.0. IP addresses always starts from 0. I told you earlier as well. Let me copy this. Let's take the advantage of copy and paste option, and then the available IP addresses are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It means the IP addresses run from 0 to 7. This one is network address, while this one is broadcast address. These two are not usable. So the usable IP addresses are 6, running from 1 through 6. We can use either of the IP addresses for these interfaces. Let me use 1, 2, and 3. Let me allocate this to this IP address. Let's go to this router, and we are going to fast Ethernet. Let me turn on. This is the IP address for this interface. But the thing that we need to consider is subnet mask. For /29, for slash 29 addressing scheme, subnetting scheme, the IP address will be different than slash 30. Then how to calculate that? Then the way of calculating subnet mask is 256 minus the number of available IP addresses, that is 8, which is, I'm very bad in mathematics, that's why let me ask my headmaster. Calculator is my headmaster. 256 minus 8 is 248. The last octet for the subnet mask is 248. That's why in this case the subnet mask is 255.255.255.248. It's done, and we are, and this to this router 255.255.25, no, 248. It's done. We got green signal here, and for this we are giving 3 3, and the corresponding subnet mask is 255.255.248. We need to turn it on. Yeah, we are done with multi-access network as well. Now only this area is remaining. Now let me finish it quickly. Again we are applying same, these three areas are same, that's why we are applying same addressing scheme slash 30, as we need only two IP addresses. That's why and the IP address range starts from 44 here, 44.55.66.0, where perfect aggregation is 24/24. That's why let's we need to hoover it. We need to set clock here as well. Go to serial 0 port, turn it on, set clock rate. You can set either. The IP address starts from 44, right? 44.55.66.1, and the corresponding IP subnet mask is 255.255.252. Sorry, 252. And let's go to this router to serial port 0. We don't need to set clock rate, and the IP address is 44.55.66.2, and the corresponding IP address subnet mask is 255.255.252. It's done, and same applies here. We apply slash 30, but the slash 30 same ID applies here. Then now the IP address will be for that is 5 and 6. Let's go here, 5 and 6, fast Ethernet 0, 44.5.6.5, and 6 to this terminal. To 5.2 we need to set up gateway as well. That's why let's go here, and the gateway is the IP address allocated to this interface, because this terminal goes to other network through this router. That's why we are giving IP address of that interface as a gateway of this terminal. That is 44.5.66. That's 5. Well, it's done. Yes, we need to turn it on. Don't forget to turn it on. Well, yeah, we finished allocating IP addresses. Now we got green signal in all interfaces now. I'll come with actual configuration later. We just allocated IP addresses to the interfaces. Now we need to we need to configure routers. So at the moment, this router is connected to this router, but this router is not connected to this router. To create connection between these two routers, we need to configure. There is connection between this terminal and this router, but there is no connection between this terminal and this router. We can test as well. The for and fast Ethernet 0, the IP address is 11.22. Let me ping it from here then. Go to desktop, command prompt, ping 11.22.33.2. Then it pings, it gives ping result. Yes. But if we ping to this router, let's pick one IP address from this router, that is 11.22.6. Okay. Ping 11.22.33.6. We don't get ping request timeout. That's why we need to configure it. Well, see you later.